Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Shad, and today we are here to talk Denver Nuggets basketball. Specifically want to focus a lot on the second unit and how they've been producing and how good the team defense has been overall. I'm not going to talk too much about the offensive side of the ball in terms of talking about the starters because it's cooking. We know, right? Top 5 offense, Jokic triple doubles, efficient 3-point shooting, even though we don't take that much. Like it's been same old for the most part on offense. AG is stepping up rather into a more point forward role. MPJ's leap is here again offensively. Over the last 3 games, he's been averaging 24 points and 8 rebounds, and there's a lot to look forward to with him and seeing his development on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Like, there's a lot of things I could talk about offensively, but I don't want to because I feel like the second unit and the team defense is what needs to be highlighted the most. But before we do that, I don't want to leave you with totally nothing in terms of Nuggets offense. So a couple of the things that I did want to touch on just a little bit. It's been seamless basketball. There has been no chemistry drop. There has been no efficiency drop. There has been no meaningful fall off in the offensive process for the Denver Nuggets this season, and that has been so huge, especially coming off a championship. There has been no championship hangover, and I think that is something either Jamal or Michael Malone had mentioned in an interview, saying that the championship hangover isn't here. It normally is, but with this team and this group, it isn't. And honestly, I love that. The offense has been same old, like I just said, but the defense has been better, and we will talk about that in its own section. Jokic ended up getting his 107th triple-double against the Pelicans, who, for whatever reason, Jokic just keeps annihilating New Orleans. Like, it's not even fair at this point. It has to be personal. It has to be personal, because if you look, I'm going to have it on the screen right now, but if you look at I think the last 8 or 10 games or something against the Pelicans, like damn near all of them have been 25 to 30-point triple doubles. And it's just like, damn, what did New Orleans do to him? It's been real fun to watch this offense move. What else can I say? Now, let's talk about the second unit, because I'm really excited to talk about a couple of these things that I have written down here. Number one, the non-Jokic minutes have not been as detrimental this season as they have been in years past, and it's largely in part to the defense that's being played in the second unit. That stagger lineup, I know Jamal is injured right now, but the stagger lineup of Maul plus Reggie Jackson plus Christian Brown plus Peyton Watson plus Zeke Naji, that stagger unit has a 98 defensive rating. 98. And it's been something we've been talking about a lot during the season, about how the switching defense of the second unit has been leading to a lot of fast break opportunities, has been leading to a lot of easy buckets for Peyton Watson in the break, or for Jamal in pull-up threes, or Julian Strother for pull-up threes. And that is another point that I wanted to talk about in terms of the second unit. Julian Strother, he had his breakout game on November 6th against the New Orleans Pelicans. 21 points, 5 of 9 from 3, efficient shooting, and his buckets came in a variety of ways. And I think I want to talk largely about Julian Strother, because I think seeing him in this context, right, with Jamal out, you're looking for minutes. Zeke Naji only ended up playing 6, so you're really looking for people to fill some spot minutes in a game where you were down by 20. You needed some sort of offensive output. You put Julian Strother in the game in the second quarter. This is what he does. Instant offense. And when I talk about the variety of his buckets, it was something that gave me a lot of hope and made me really happy when I looked at the tape. I'm seeing a handoff with Jokic. I'm seeing Julian command a PNR with AG and pulling up in the middle. I'm seeing him bringing the ball up on fast breaks and pulling up from 3 with zero hesitation and all the confidence in the world. His microwave ability. I know I did an entire video on Julian Strother, but it feels so damn good to have it all validated so far. It's only been his first big time game, right? This is his breakout game. This is the, hey, I'm here, I'm on the Nuggets, I know how to produce and help the squad. That being said, seeing him out there, seeing him with the variety of lineups that we ran because we had to choose so many, it gave me a lot of hope. And specifically, there was a lineup out there that only ran for 4 minutes during this game, by the way. It was the lineup of KCP, Julian, MPJ, P. Watt, and Jokic. 4 minutes of action, 15 points, 3 threes made, and 187 offensive rating. 187. 4 minutes, obviously. The sample size is extremely low. And this is the first time that this lineup has ran on the court together. But to see them be so efficient offensively, when you look at it, it's 4 shooters and Peyton Watson? You've got KCP and P. Watt as your defenders, and then you've got knockdown shooting from Straw and PJ and Jokic. I personally am really intrigued in seeing this lineup moving forward, especially if Jamal Murray is going to be out and we don't really fall in love with the idea of running a traditional backup point guard. Like, this lineup doesn't have a PG. It's Jokic. Jokic is running the show. And as I mentioned, they were letting Julian bring the ball up the court. They trusted him to initiate the offense this early on. And I think that's huge. It doesn't show up in the box score or in the stats or anywhere, but being trusted to bring the ball up the court, to initiate the offense, to start the playmaking attempt is huge, especially for a rookie. Next up, I want to talk about Peyton Watson and Christian Brown, and I always end up talking about them in every single Nuggets video that I do because they are personally two of my two favorite young guys in the league, not just because they are on the Nuggets, but because of their play style though. When they are on the court together, those two have a defensive rating of 103.8. I know I haven't said this before, but defensive rating is a little bit skewed, especially when you start getting away from the 5-man lineups and trying to decipher defensive rating from that. When you're looking at two, it's a little skewed. Obviously, you got to look at who else is on the floor, but we're not here to talk about all the in-depth stuff. 103 defensive rating when they're on the court together. And if you look at the eye test, if you're watching the film, they're holding up their end of the bargain minus the shooting because both of them are actually shooting pretty bad from three right now. But Peyton has been flowing into the offense as a slot cutter, as a transition threat. He's also averaging over a block a game. He's been crucial as a cutter and as a defender, as a help defender, as a switch defender. Like we talk about Peyton Watson a lot. There's a video on the channel dedicated to Peyton Watson. Go watch that now. Christian Brown is averaging 5 rebounds a game in 20 minutes a game? That's insane. That's damn good. Oh man, I just love the activity of these two. Right, they're young, they got young legs, they're both extremely athletic, and they're using it all to their full advantage. And they are being extremely disruptive. They are being extremely efficient switch defenders at the rim. And I think they are slotting really well with a couple of these starting lineups. And I think Jamal's obviously going to hurt in terms of, missing time and everything. But if it means getting Christian Brown and Peyton Watson more reps with more of the starting lineup, I love that outcome because I think it's going to pay off very well in the end. And just because I like these two so much, I went to their per 36 just so I could push a little bit of an agenda. CB is averaging 14 points, 9 rebounds, and 4.5 assists with a steal per game. I like those numbers a lot, even if they're hypothetical. And Peyton Watson, if we look at his, is 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks. Now, lastly, I want to talk about the team defense because it has been extremely impressive this season. It's been fun. And I don't think I personally have ever used the word fun when talking about the Nuggets defense, but I mentioned how disruptive they've been on the defensive side of the ball and just how active they've been in their rotations at the level. Jokic's screen defense has been a plus. KCP has been arguably the most disruptive defender in the league when it comes to perimeter play, getting hella steals, stocks here, stocks there, making plays at the rim even, swiping down, stopping layups. This man has done everything he can to commandeer and anchor this defensive unit, along with AG, who has been doing his usual suspect things. The team is 10th in defensive rating. They're 5th in blocks per game. They're 4th in opponent 3-point percentage given up. They're 4th in opponent points given up in general. They are becoming staunch defenders. It's really early in the season, right? There's a very real chance that a lot of this tapers off and then we go back to being 14th, 15th, 13th defense in the league. It's very possible. But I think specifically with the makeup of this roster and what these guys are going to have to do in order to produce offensively, I think I see a really good defensive season playing out for the entire season. I see ultimately a top 5 defense. I'm just going to say it now. I think by the end of the year, the Nuggets are going to put it together enough to where they are a top 5 defense in the league. That I am putting my stamp on. Real quick before we get out, I want to talk about MPJ's leap defensively. And it has been such a nice and wonderful storyline to follow going back to last season, at the start of last season, rather. If you remember that possession against Steph Curry where it ended in a block at the rim, that was kind of the first glimpse of oh shit, okay. If MPJ is going to play defense coming off of, a summer of recovery, maybe there's something to watch there. Maybe there's something to take note of. And a season later, it's still something to take note of. He's been having really good defensive possessions against Zach LaVine. He had really, really good defensive possessions against Luka. He held Luka to 2 of 8 from the field and 5 turnovers when MPJ was guarding him. 5 turnovers and 6 missed shots. That is length. That is MPJ's footwork. That is MPJ's ability to finally just sit down in front of a ball handler and make them work for it. He doesn't just give up the easy threes because that wingspan is so long. He could just contest. He did that a couple times against Luka and Zach LaVine. The guy he's been hunted with screens, and teams are not coming up with anything fruitful most of the time against MPJ. And that has been the biggest, I think, one of the biggest storylines in all of the NBA this year, not just with the Nuggets. That man MPJ is producing defensively. And you combine that defense with 46% three-point shooting over the last 3 games, with 24 points in the absence of Jamal Murray, with what looks like an all-star campaign so far, you get a scary-ass team. And that's the whole point of this video. The damn Denver Nuggets are scary. They are terrifying, man. Their biggest weakness has always been defense, but this year, the communication on the back lines, the 3-point rotations, holding teams to damn near 30% from 3. The defense is here. There aren't a lot of disconnects. Everyone's active. Everyone's talking. Everyone's being disruptive. And everyone is playing their damn hearts out so far. The young guys who are getting their minutes. Colin Gillespie, who's coming out and trying to play. Julian Strother coming out and exploding. Like, we have a team that's ready to do it again. 7 games into the season. I don't want to speak with finality on too many things, but if things trend the way they have been for these first 7 games for the rest of the season, the Denver Nuggets are going to go back to back. Let me know what you think about their season so far.